A woman sits on a rock next to a clear blue mountain pool. She's gorgeous. Long, jet black hair flows over her shoulders like water. Her skin is pale and her cheeks are rosy. She turns and looks at you. Her eyes are like blue pools. And are they glowing? Suddenly you notice that instead of legs, she has a long, silvery white fishtail. Are you hallucinating? Are you seeing a real-life mermaid? Before you can really process what's happening, the mermaid dives into the pool and vanishes. Mermaids have been reported in South Africa for a long time, so dive into the mountain pools, hit that like and sub button, and get ready to learn all about the mermaids of South Africa. I'm on summer break, so get ready for a lot more content. I have 2 videos planned for May, this video and another video on the Umguza monster, a glowing creature seen in Zimbabwe's Umguza River. Speaking of glowing creatures, let's get into the myths of Kek and the mermaids of South Africa. I want to start off by giving a disclaimer about the age and quality of my sources. There aren't a lot of them, and some of them are very old and use outdated language such as inappropriate terms to the San and Khoisan people who we get these myths from, as well as other outdated language for other tribes. And more modern sources are often not particularly scholarly, but I'm doing my best with the information available. I think these legends are fascinating. The idea that we may have cave art of merfolk is mind-blowing. Come with me to Klein Karoo, a semi-desert region in South Africa. Water is scarce in this arid land, which makes it an unusual place to find evidence of merbeings. But geologic evidence tells us that this region was underwater in the distant past. Marine fossils can be found in ancient layers of rocks. So did the Khoisan cave paintings capture a memory of when merfolk lived in the area? Perhaps. But belief in merbeings persists in the region to this very day. Jumping forward all the way to 1875, a farmer claimed to have been told by an elderly Khoisan man that there were water spirits that could appear as women and animals and drag people under the water. Moving right along to 1922, the Folklore Journal published a quarterly review of world mythology, and they have an entry on the Kek. This is a direct quote about the Kek. This journal is the only scholarly source on the Kek, to my knowledge. Full disclosure, the pronunciation is just my best guess, and it's probably wrong. Here's the quote. The tailed men, Kek, live mostly underwater. They tame elands and snakes. That animal which the men are catching is a snake. They are holding out charms to it and catching it with a long rein. They are all underwater, and those strokes are things growing under the water. Elands are a type of antelope. No, this quote doesn't make more sense in context. The journal also mentions men with antelope heads who also live underwater, and directly before this is a story about a woman who sticks to a man's back like wax, has to be melted off of him, and then is beaten for daring to melt his back? There's obviously a lot of cultural context that I don't have in order to fully understand all of this, but it seems like the descriptions of the Kek could be related to the cave paintings. For example, the description sounds a lot like what's happening in the cave art. They could be holding charms and long reins to catch a snake. Could the water spirits from the 1875 story be the tailed men and antelope-headed men who lived in the water? That story claimed that they could shapeshift into animals. Sightings of merfolk have happened in modern times as well. Mermaids are regularly sighted in the Baffeljas River in the Western Cape Province, the same province as the Klein Karoo Merbeing cave art. In 2008, a family was relaxing along the river and heard a loud banging sound. They saw a white woman with long black hair thrashing in the water and initially thought she was drowning before noticing the reddish shine of her eyes and the eerie silver-white glow of her body. The intro to this video was a fictionalized account of seeing a South African mermaid, combining details from this sighting and a 2012 South African news article about South African merfolk. I should mention too that some sources use the Afrikaans term vadermeid, meaning water girl, to refer to these merbeings. Whatever they're called, they also remind me of the Njuzu from the Shona people of Zimbabwe. Those water spirits are female, live in pools, including in caves, and in some sources they have fishtails and are described as being white. I go into more detail about them in my Giant Snakes of Southern Africa video, but they could perhaps be the same or be related to the Kek. However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the other interpretations of the Merbeing cave art. Some believe that they depict shamans performing a ritual to bring forth rain, or that they depict bird spirits or shamans turned into bird beings, still related to rain rituals in some way. In this interpretation, the quote-unquote tail is actually the lower half of a bird. The birds could be swallows who are associated with rain. They build nests on the walls of caves and forage in lakes, rivers, and wetlands. We've seen before that merbeings can also be related to birds, such as sirens and simbies. Maybe this is a similar situation. Let me know in the comments what y'all think is going on. If they are merfolk, I think that they are either a distinct species or one of the species from my previous video, just called something different by a different people group. The descriptions of a human upper body, long dark hair, and fishtails sound just like Mamiwata/Papiwata, Mingu, and Simbis. To a lesser extent, they're similar to Nomo, Onondaga Zen, and the water people. More unique to them, though, is the claims of bioluminescence, glowing eyes, and pale skin. This could be explained if they were a dark, cave-dwelling species, and that is the interpretation that I've chosen to go with. They are closely related to all the merbeings I previously mentioned, and the species name is Africanus speleon. Speleon is Greek for cave, and if that sounds familiar, that's because in my Giant Snakes of Southern Africa video, I named my species Bantu speleon, so this is a callback to that. You may be noticing I'm pronouncing the word speleon differently than last time. Before I think I said speleon, and it turns out that it's actually speleon. My Africanus speleon has long black hair that's actually spindles. She has the big round black eyes that all my merfolk have. Although not mentioned in the sources, if she lives below ground, the big eyes will help her see in the low light conditions. Her eyes have a reddish glow, however. This glow is a type of bioluminescence that is also seen in real fish. I linked a fascinating ResearchGate article on luminescent mechanisms in fish eyes in the description. Her mouth is closed and primate-like, but her teeth are most likely made for a carnivorous or omnivorous diet. The folklore journal quote suggests that they eat snakes and elands. I gave her gills and no outer ears. She almost certainly has lungfish-like lungs and gills, so that she can come onto the surface for extended periods of time. Her skin is pale, similar to a cavefish. She has primate arms and a primate torso. She has breasts, which I have theorized in previous videos may secrete a milk-like substance similar to the real-life discus fish, which secretes a milk-like liquid through its skin. Her fishtail is the same pale color as the rest of her body and is a similar shape to the famous mermaid cave art. Based on the available information, they seem to have two sexes, male and female. It's unknown if both sexes can shapeshift or if only males can shapeshift. They seem highly intelligent, capable of tool use at the very least. We know nothing of their life cycles, but I'm going to assume they're very similar to previously covered merbeings. If you want to know more about that, check out the other videos in this series. And if you want to know even more, check out next week's video on the glowing Umguzo monster.